If you care about how people survived for centuries without modern chemicals, this channel is for you, and I want you to subscribe now and share this work with others who take history seriously. What you're about to hear isn't a recycled myth or romantic folklore. It's a practical, evidence-backed survival technology that medieval builders used deliberately, tested across generations, and trusted with ships, bridges, homes, and sacred buildings. Stay with me through this opening minute, because once you see how intentional this knowledge was, you'll never look at old timber the same way again. The common belief is that medieval people simply accepted rot as inevitable. That is wrong. They fought decay aggressively, using chemistry, biology, and environment in ways that modern builders are only now rediscovering. Across Europe, wooden structures survived hundreds, sometimes over 1,000 years, not by accident, but by following a system that combined tree selection, timing, water, microbes, and controlled deprivation of oxygen. This wasn't a single trick, it was a process. And once you understand it, you'll understand how medieval survival knowledge quietly outperformed many modern methods. Medieval builders understood that rot is a biological enemy that can be starved. Rot is not time-dependent, it is life-dependent. Fungi need oxygen, moisture cycling, and accessible sugars to destroy wood. Medieval builders didn't try to seal wood completely. They tried to deny fungi the conditions they needed to live. This insight is the foundation of the lost secret. The first step happened before the tree ever hit the ground. Timber was cut in winter, when sap sugars were lowest. Less sugar meant less food for fungi and insects. This alone dramatically slowed decay. Modern forestry confirms this, but medieval foresters already knew it from experience. If you want to apply this today, whether for off-grid construction or long-term storage, harvest or buy timber cut during dormant seasons, and avoid fast-grown plantation wood loaded with sap. Water was used not as an enemy, but as a preservative. Here's where most people get confused. Medieval builders intentionally soaked wood for months or even years. Logs were submerged in rivers, ponds, or bogs. This process, known historically but rarely explained correctly, flushed out remaining sugars while allowing beneficial anaerobic bacteria to colonize the wood. These bacteria altered the cellular structure, making it hostile to decay fungi. This is why wooden foundations driven into wet soil survived centuries. Oxygen could not reach them. The wood below the waterline remained intact while the exposed portions failed. The clearest evidence comes from Viking ship timbers recovered from Roskilde Fjord, where oak beams sat underwater for nearly 1,000 years and emerged structurally sound. You can apply this principle today by water-curing posts before ground contact. Soaking untreated wood in water for several weeks before installation measurably extends its lifespan, especially when combined with proper drainage. Iron, oak and tannins formed an unintentional chemical shield. Oak was favoured not just for strength, but for chemistry. Oak contains high levels of tannins which react with iron to form a dark, water-resistant compound. Medieval builders unknowingly exploited this by fastening oak with iron nails and clamps. Over time, the reaction sealed the surrounding wood fibres. This is one reason why medieval bridges and halls managed to resist rot far longer than one might expect. The reaction zone around the fasteners became biologically hostile, creating an environment that was unfriendly to decay. For today's builders, this means selecting tannin-rich woods, such as oak or chestnut, and pairing them with iron or untreated steel in controlled environments. It's important to avoid stainless steel if preservation through tannin reaction is the goal. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Charring and tar, well, they were used selectively, not universally. Contrary to popular belief, medieval Europeans didn't char everything. They did it strategically. End grains, posts and ground contact sections were lightly burned, then sealed with pine tar. Now, pine tar wasn't just a surface coat. It acted as a breathable barrier, repelling water while allowing internal moisture to escape. Quite clever, really. You know, this technique is still visible in surviving Scandinavian stave churches, especially at the Borgund stave church. There, pine tar treatments protected wood exposed to extreme moisture, but crucially without trapping rot inside. So, to apply this today, you'd want to lightly char only the ground contact areas of posts, then brush off any loose carbon and apply pine tar that's thinned with a bit of linseed oil. This combination, well, it really resists insects, slows down moisture cycling, and avoids the kind of failure you see with modern plastic sealants. Design, honestly, mattered just as much as treatment. Medieval builders, they designed their structures to shed water fast. Wide eaves, raised foundations and airflow gaps. These were all intentional rot prevention strategies. Wood that dries quickly, it simply does not rot. This isn't about aesthetics. It's survival engineering, plain and simple. If you're building anything meant to last, focus on water management first. No treatment can save wood that stays wet and oxygen-rich. Medieval builders understood this instinctively. Why this knowledge was lost and why it matters now. Industrial preservatives promised convenience and speed. They replaced patience with chemicals. But, you know, many of those treatments fail catastrophically once compromised. Medieval methods aged gracefully. Even when partially degraded, the wood often remained usable. For survivalists, historians and serious builders, this matters. These methods require time, observation and restraint, not factories. They are scalable, local, and resilient. If this kind of grounded historical knowledge matters to you, subscribe to this channel, share it with people who care about real survival history, and help keep this legacy alive. This is not nostalgia. It is hard-earned knowledge, and it still works.